Since Wei Dai proposed B-money in 1998, the US dollar has been mathematically halved. If you held $100 then, you have $49 now. This isn't inflation, it's a heist.
The ledger is unforgiving. I mean, ignore the sentiment and look at the raw data from the U.S. Consumer Price Index. It sat at 163.0 in 1998. Fast forward to January 2026. It hit 326.588. That is a mathematically guaranteed 50.09% loss in purchasing power.
Half your wealth just evaporated.
And that is the supposedly safe reserve currency.
Yeah.
If we look at the broader metrics, we are seeing a 100.36% cumulative inflation destruction in related data sets. The fiat system is hemorrhaging purchasing power by design.
But wait, this is exactly the bridge point. While the masses are obsessed with the price of Bitcoin, the elite 1% are looking at the math of sovereignty. They're building within the cryptographic ramparts Wei Dai designed. We are looking at an asset engineering blueprint today. This deep dive is about survival.
Because the elite understand the architecture. The white paper citations tell the entire story. Wei Dai's B-money protocol is reference 1 in Satoshi Nakamoto's 2008 Bitcoin white paper. That is not an anomaly. To understand the trillion-dollar digital asset ecosystem, you have to read the schematics Dai published on the Cypherpunk mailing lists back in November 1998.
Right, the late 90s. People think of it as, dial-up modems and chat rooms. But the technologists, the cypherpunks, reading Timothy May's Crypto-Anarchist Manifesto, they saw the structural threat. They saw global fiber optic networks being laid down.
Which meant data was moving at the speed of light. But the secondary consequence, the dark reality, was that centralized states were suddenly gaining the infrastructure to intercept, monitor, and censor human interaction in real time. Packets sniffing at a global scale. The physical state was expanding its surveillance apparatus directly into cyberspace.
So Dai recognized that the physical violence and coercion that backs the fiat system couldn't just translate perfectly into the digital realm. He asked the question, how can anonymous entities cooperate economically without trust? Without a central server, the government could just unplug.
And the source data isolates what it calls the decisive difference in his approach. Because look, other people were building crypto protocols in the 90s. Adam Back created Hashcash in 1997. It utilized a proof-of-work algorithm, yes, but it was purely a tactical tool.
A spam filter. You force a computer to do a little bit of math, burn a tiny bit of electricity to send an email. It makes massive spam campaigns economically unviable. Brilliant, sure, but you can't build a global economy on a spam filter.
Exactly. And you have Nick Szabo with BitGold articulating the theory of unforgeable costliness. But Szabo lacked the fully executable peer-to-peer network enforcement. Wei Dai stands completely apart. B-money wasn't just a tool, and it wasn't just a theory, it was an integrated protocol.
He engineered the 3 absolute pillars of a monetary economy into a single loop: currency issuance, anonymous transfer, and contract enforcement. What we now just casually call smart contracts.
He packed an entire sovereign economy into one blueprint. He stripped the state out of the equation entirely and replaced subjective political decree with an objective, thermodynamically guaranteed metric.
Yeah.
The source defines his blade, his ultimate formula, as V-money.
Cost computation.
Value equals the cost of computation. But what does this mean for my bank account right now? If I'm watching my purchasing power bleed out, why does this math matter to me?
It matters because in a fiat system, the cost to produce a $100 bill is a few cents of ink and cotton. It only commands $100 of purchasing power because of state monopoly. Dai argued that the value of digital money must be directly derived from the market cost of the physical energy and the hardware required to compute its existence.
So you cannot counterfeit the electrical grid. You cannot fake the thermodynamic effort of a processor burning energy. The energy expended becomes the indisputable proof of value. But generating value is only half the architecture. He mandated that every single participant in the network must maintain an identical, continuously updated copy of all accounts.
A distributed database. Every user acts as their own bank. Every node audits every other node constantly.
There is no central ledger for a state to seize, no single database administrator to bribe or subpoena. If someone tries to spend money they don't have, the network instantly rejects it.
Okay, it's a perfect theoretical fortress, but here's the massive flaw. If this blueprint was finalized in 1998, why did it just sit there? Why didn't the crypto boom happen in 1999?
The source analysis refers to this as the cold verification of Dai's blind spots. B-money relied on a fatal assumption. Dai explicitly stated the protocol required an unjammable synchronous broadcast channel.
Which is a complete fantasy. Anyone who remembers a 56K dial-up modem knows you couldn't even keep a connection alive, let alone synchronize a global financial ledger down to the exact millisecond with zero packet loss.
It was structurally impossible. Dai collided with a fundamental computer science paradox known as the Byzantine generals problem. Imagine military generals surrounding an enemy city. They can only win if they all attack at the exact same moment.
But they can only communicate by sending messengers through the hostile city, and those messengers can be delayed, intercepted, or outright forged by traitors.
So in a decentralized network, the computers are the generals, the data packets are the messengers, and the internet itself, with its latency and malicious hackers, is the hostile city. How do you get strangers to agree on the state of a financial ledger when you know some of the data is actively lying?
And Dai's workaround was a secondary layer of arbitrators to punish bad nodes, which completely breaks his own rule. If you require an arbitrator to enforce the truth, you've just recreated a central authority. Who arbitrates the arbitrator?
An infinite regression back to centralized power. B-money was a perfect economic engine built for a network environment that defied the laws of physics at the time. Enter Satoshi Nakamoto. We have the source emails from August 2008. Satoshi reaches out to Wei Dai directly, writing that he is finalizing a paper that expands on your ideas into a complete working system.
He outright confirmed Bitcoin is an implementation of B-money. Satoshi didn't invent the core mechanics, he invented the missing patch.
He engineered a probabilistic fix. He layered the longest chain rule on top of proof of work. Satoshi fixed Dai's economic engine with a political consensus. Instead of demanding instant, perfect synchronization, Satoshi allowed the network to be slightly messy.
Multiple valid ledgers might briefly exist across the network because of latency.
But the network forces these machines to play a continuous, mathematically brutal guessing game. The source models this precisely. Block header tot not nonce.
The hash of the block header and the nonce has to be less than or equal to the dynamically adjusting target.
This formula is the literal executable realization of Dai's V-money, cost computation. The energy consumed becomes the undeniable proxy for truth. When two conflicting ledgers propagate, the nodes just look at which chain has the most thermodynamic energy burned into its creation. The longest chain is the truth.
And that one-to-one mapping is undeniable today. Dai demanded a shared ledger. Now tens of thousands of global Bitcoin full nodes operate identically to his vision. Dai demanded value equal computational costs. The difficulty adjustment guarantees it, but it goes way beyond Bitcoin.
Look at the 2026 realities. Dai's architecture is the literal DNA of Ethereum. The founders hard-coded his legacy into the network.
The absolute smallest divisible unit of an ETH is called a Wei, 10 to the negative 18th power of 1 ETH. You can't even see it in standard wallet interfaces.
Yet it is the foundational accounting metric for a monolithic global state machine. The Q1 2026 on-chain data proves his omnipresence. We are tracking 2.88 million peak daily transactions. We are looking at 36.08 million ETH staked to secure the network validators. The scale is staggering.
It's a trillion-dollar fortress. But listen, this is where the panic sets in. Because the scale of this decentralized architecture has triggered a massive counteroffensive.
The report transitions from the cryptographic arc of B-money to what it explicitly classifies as the asset destruction scenario, the deployment of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs.
Why is this a trap? Explain exactly how this weaponizes Dai's own blueprint against us.
The source data outlines a scenario where the exact same smart contract architecture Dai invented for freedom is inverted by the state to program conditional money. We aren't dealing with political vibes here. We are analyzing the raw capabilities of the code as reported in the source material.
The source describes assets held in a CBDC framework as deletable data fragments. Deletable data fragments. What does that mean for the listener's bank account right now?
It means the concept of private property transitions from an absolute right to a conditional privilege. In a CBDC system, the central bank doesn't just issue the currency. They control the smart contract parameters of the ledger itself. The state becomes the sole node. They write the conditional logic.
So we move from value equals cost of computation to value equals state compliance.
Exactly. The report claims the state could simply insert expiration dates into the currency with one line of code.
If this wallet doesn't spend its stimulus allocation within 30 days, the balance self-destructs.
Automated velocity enforcement. And the source dives into granular behavioral control. Because a CBDC system records every single transaction down to a micro expenditure equivalent to a single Wei, it creates perfect information asymmetry. real-time surveillance of global capital flows.
The authors argue that smart contracts could be utilized to instantly freeze assets. You buy the wrong type of energy, or the source mentions social credit deductions, your score dips below an arbitrary threshold, and the code simply locks the wallet.
If users score less than threshold, wallet status equals locked. Zero human intervention required. No court order. Just an automated algorithmic execution that instantly exiles an individual from the economy.
The same fiber optic networks the cypherpunks feared in the 90s have matured into an omnipresent digital panopticon. Only now, it's not just your emails being sniffed, it's your entire financial existence. The state took the concept of the shared ledger and removed the shared part.
It is the ultimate perversion of the B-money blueprint. According to the analysis, the CBDC architecture retains the efficiency of digital transfer and automated smart contracts, but it violently strips away the anonymous transfer and decentralized consensus. It consolidates all validation power back into the hands of the sovereign,
Maximizing their ability to monitor, intercept, and censor. So we're looking at two highly sophisticated, fundamentally incompatible networks operating right now in 2026.
On one side, the legacy fiat system rapidly morphing into a CBDC control grid, where your money is a deletable data fragment tracked in real time.
And on the other side, the decentralized economy, running on proof-of-work and proof-of-stake consensus mechanisms, operating entirely outside the jurisdiction of any central bank.
The $100 bill from 1998 represents the fading analog era. The 50.09% loss in its purchasing power is just the mathematical bleed of a dying system. The future of capital is entirely digital.
It will be governed either by the programmable decrees of a centralized state,
Or by the objective cryptographic consensus algorithms designed by Wei Dai and deployed by Satoshi Nakamoto. The decentralized architecture processes billions of dollars in daily volume without a single centralized arbitrator. It relies on nothing but the uncompromising physics of computational cost and the mathematical certainty of cryptography.
So it's simple. The arc is the code.
Data doesn't lie. Code doesn't betray. The choice is yours. Recording ends now.